Today's top stories. The government reaches its inflation target as the inflation rate slows down to 3.8%. Government lawyers urge the Court of Appeals to junk the motion against the telco player selection process. Persons with disabilities or PWDs will soon receive medical insurance from PhilHealth. And victims of Typhoon Rosita in Mountain Province receive aid from the National Housing Authority.
Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Duterte administration's efforts to curb inflation finally bore fruit as the inflation rate last February reached the government's target value. Last month's inflation rate of 3.8% is also the lowest garnered by the government since March 2018. More on this from Romdulfo.
The country's headline inflation further slowed to 3.8% in February 2019. The PSA says the deceleration of inflation from 4.4% in January was mainly driven by movements in food and non-alcoholic beverages, alcohol and tobacco, and transport. Inflation was also averaged 4.1% year to date. This is the slowest rate of increase in prices of basic goods since March last year, and the first time the government hits its 2 to 4% inflation target after a year. This is the fourth consecutive month that inflation slowed after inflation soared up to 6.7% last year, which was blamed on the train law. Malacanang welcomed what it called the predicted drop in inflation, which is brought by the government's efforts to lower the prices of basic goods. Presidential spokesman Sal Panelo expressed confidence inflation will further ease as the palace vows to continue monitoring prices. Newly appointed Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Governor Ben Jokno meanwhile says the rate gives them confidence that their medium-term inflation forecast ranging 2 to 4% is appropriate. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Former Department of Budget and Management Secretary Benjamin Diokno is the new governor of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Diokno succeeds the late Nestor Espinilla Jr., who died last February 23. In a statement, Malacanang wished Diokno all the best in his new duty. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said the palace expects Diokno to carry on reforms started under Espinilla's leadership that will align the BSP's operations with international best practices and improve its corporate viability. Panelo also thanked Diokno for his services as former budget chief. Diokno was also hailed for his contributions under the Aquino and Estrada administrations. President Duterte stood by Diokno's integrity even as he was being accused of allegedly orchestrating insertions in the proposed national budget for 2019. The Libyan High Court has acquitted and ordered the release of 7 Filipino seafarers who have been accused of oil smuggling. They were detained for almost 2 years in Libya. The Department of Foreign Affairs said the embassy is coordinating the repatriation of the 7 crew members of the MT Levante. The 7 were earlier sentenced by lower court to 4 years in prison for allegedly attempting to smuggle fuel. They were among 20 Filipinos taken into custody after the Libyan Coast Guard boarded and seized the Liberian flag tanker while it was anchored in international waters. DFA Secretary Teddy Locsin extended gratitude to the Libyan government as well as to the agency's assistance to Nationals Fund for helping the seafarers. Malacanang says the onarco list, which includes the names of candidates in this year's elections, may be revealed next week. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said there's no stopping the DILG and PDEA in revealing the names of candidates involved in the illegal drug trade. Panelo says President Duterte has supported the move even though he is not involved in the revelation of the narco list. He said the DILG and PDEA are only doing their jobs while at the same time allowing voters to know the backgrounds of candidates. This would also prove that the government does not turn a blind eye on narco politicians. Persons with disabilities are now covered by PhilHealth, and authorities seize millions of pesos worth of party drugs in Quezon City. More on these and other news around the metro from Benj Bondok.
Persons with disabilities can now avail of PhilHealth coverage following the amendments to the Magna Carta for Persons with Disabilities signed by President Rodrigo Duterte. PWDs will be automatically covered by the National Health Insurance Program, and their premium contributions will be shouldered by the national government. The contributions will be funded by the excise tax on alcohol and tobacco products. Meanwhile, the Commission on Elections says a debate between candidates of the administration party Hugpong ng Pagbabago and the Ocho Derecho opposition bloc is not likely to push through since it is just 2 months away from the elections. However, Paul Body spokesperson James Jimenez says it will still be discussed by the Commission and Bank. In Quezon City, authorities seized 14 million pesos worth of ecstasy and other party drugs in a buy-bust operation. Suspect Yvette Magallanes Tividad was arrested in her condo unit in Barangay Loyola Heights. Tividad is reported to be one of the major suppliers of party drugs in Metro Manila. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Bondo.
Still to come, government lawyers urge the Court of Appeals to junk the motion against a telco player selection process. Food prices in Davao City remain stable in Davao City despite the threat of El Nino. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ito ang Duterte on Duty. Ulat sa ginagawa ng Presidente. February 19, Martes, Davao City. Dumalo si Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa 9th anniversary of Mindanao Development Authority at sa 25th anniversary ng Brunei Darussalam Indonesia Malaysia Philippines East Asian Growth Area o ang BIMP-EAGA. Nanawagan ng Pangulo ng pagkakaisa upang labanan ang economic slowdown ngayon sa rehiyon.
We have to band together. The world is changing, including the economy. It could go either bad or very bad, or it could go well. And I hope we can survive it.
February 20, Miyerkules, Malacanang. Nag-courtesy call sa Pangulo ang top officials ng U.S.-Philippine Society. Makasaysayang nilagdaan ni Pangulong Duterte ang ilang mahalagang batas tulad ng Social Security Act of 2018, Revised Corporation Code na magpapasimple sa corporate governance standards, Philippine Sports Training Center Act na magiging sentro ng athletic development ng mga atletang Pilipino, at ang Universal Healthcare Law na magbibigay ng dekalidad at abot-kayang healthcare services sa mga Pilipino.
By automatically extolling our citizens into the National Health Insurance Program and expanding PhilHealth coverage to include free medical consultations and laboratory tests. The Universal Healthcare Law that I signed today will guarantee equitable access to quality and affordable healthcare services for all Filipinos.
February 22, Biyernes, Malacanang. Pinangunahan ng Pangulo ang ceremonial confirmation ng Bangsamoro Organic Law Plebiscite Canvass results at pinanumpa ang mga miyembro ng Bangsamoro Transition Authority na pangunahan ni MILF Chair Alhaj Murad Ibrahim bilang Interim Chief Minister.
If there is any problem at all or in the future, let me assure you that for the remaining years of my work as a government work here in this building, I assure you, inshallah, I will always do what the law says and what is yours, and what to what extent that we can give you not only comfort but happiness to the Muslims of you.
Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
Government lawyers formally asked the Court of Appeals to turn down a suit questioning the selection process for the country's third telecommunications player. Solicitor General Jose Calida stood by the legality of the terms of reference set by the National Telecommunications Commission. Calida argued that the CA is not allowed by law to issue an injunction order against national government projects, such as the selection process. He added that now telco, the petitioner, is not entitled to relief simply because it did not participate in the bidding process. Now telco, owned by businessman Mel Velarde, asked the CA to reverse and set aside an earlier decision of the Manila Regional Trial Court that dismissed the firm's petition for issuance of writ of preliminary injunction. Another petition was filed in November 2018 by PT&T before the Supreme Court. More Filipinos are applying for protection for the intellectual properties. The Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines said intellectual property filings last year rose 15%. Online applications in 2018 jumped 35% from the previous year, along after it was first launched in 2016. Director General Josephine Santiago said this reflects a growing creative and scientific economy as people recognize the added value of protecting intellectual property in commercial activities and in research and development. Santiago also attributed the increase in application to IPOPHIL's expansion of intellectual property satellite offices in Dumaguete, Naga, and Zamboanga. The IPOPHIL chief likewise highlighted the office's closer collaboration with the academe and the private sector in promoting intellectual property rights. Contributions by members of the Social Security System, or SSS, may increase by April or May. SSS President and CEO Emmanuel Dooc said the increase will require further discussion, but it may push through once the implementing rules and regulations are put in place. The IRR of the Social Security Act is now in the final stage. It is required to be in place today, 90 days after the effectivity of the law. Under the said law, the SSS can increase the contribution by 1 percentage point every other year until it becomes 15%. To date, the contribution rate is 11%. Authorities seized nearly 193 million peso worth of illegal drugs in 3 separate occasions in Metro Cebu. Agents of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency in Central Visayas and Cebu City Police Office confiscated at least 18 kilos of shabu in Fatima Homes, Barangay Inayawan, Cebu City. Police also arrested suspected pusher Elimar Angcajas and his supplier Jocelyn Encilla, along with her parents, who yielded another 10 kilos of shabu. Meanwhile, PDEA 7 and the Lapu-Lapu City Police Office arrested 3 students in a buy-bust operation in Barangay Pusok, Lapu-Lapu City. They were identified as John Pepper, Anya Lucas Beltran, and Mar Abari, and a 16-year-old. Confiscated from the 3 were 5 plastic packs of shabu weighing 350 grams and worth 2.38 million pesos and 3,000 pesos worth of cash. Cocoa farmer seeks assistance from the government as copra prices drop. Meanwhile, a pilot and a student survive a plane crash in Nueva Ecija. More on this and other stories from the provinces from Janice Cave.
Cocoa farmers from Batangas and Quezon are asking for help from the government in coping with the drop in the price of copra. The farmers urged officials to set the regular price of copra at 50 pesos, a price increase of up to 12 pesos per cocoa, and a salary increase for farmers and rice subsidy. The price of copra dropped by 66% from 38 pesos per kilo in 2017. In Nueva Ecija, a pilot and his students survived after their Cessna plane crashed on a rice field in Barangay Homestead 2 in Talavera town. Police identified the victims as Bonnie Dorgon, flight instructor of Fast Aviation Academy, and his student Maria Thalia Zeth Limpin. The Cessna plane was in a round trip from Cabanatuan to Pangasinan when the accident happened. The plane reportedly encountered engine trouble, which resulted in the accident. In Davao City, prices of vegetables and other food products remain stable despite the threat of El Niño in the whole region. The city government is also on the lookout for possible effects of inflation. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Up next, the victims of Typhoon Rosita in Mountain Province receive aid from the National Housing Authority. Thailand is hailed the overall champion in the Southeast Asian Youth Athletics Championships. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
We will make a few years the golden age of infrastructure in the Philippines. In other words, we are going to build, and build.
At dahil dyan paparating na ang incredible na solusyon, ang Metro Manila Subway. Incredible ang scale ng Metro Manila Subway. Magmumula ito sa North Avenue hanggang FTI, NAIA Terminal 3 at konektado rin sa Central Business Districts. Ito ay interconnected din sa LRT1, LRT2, MRT3, MRT7 at PNR. Incredible ang bilis na hanggang 80 kilometers per hour. Imagine, nasa 31 minutes na lang ang magiging biyahe mo mula North Avenue hanggang NAIA Terminal 3 o FTI. Incredible ang technology! Advanced Japanese technology kasi ang gagamitin tulad ng sa Japan Railway System at meron din platform screen doors. Incredible ang accessibility dahil interconnected ito sa mga linya ng MRT, LRT at PNR, gaya ng sa North Avenue, Anonas, FTI at Lotan West stations. Connected din ang mga stations sa iba pang public transport terminals tulad ng bus, jeep at taxi. Kaya mas mabilis mo nang mararating ang anumang destinasyon sa kamay nilaan. Incredible ang safety dahil flood resilient ito kahit pa sa mga bahaing lugar. Ito rin ay earthquake resistant at malayo sa fault lines. Incredible na long-lasting. Ang depot ng subway ang magiging center of maintenance at magiging lugar ng Philippine Railway Institute na siyang maniniguradong tama at pangmatagalan ang magiging operation at maintenance ng subway at iba pang linya ng tren. Hindi to drawing! Dahil magbubukas ang partial operability section ang unang 3 stations ng subway na nasa Quirino Highway, Tandang Sora at North Avenue sa 2022. Isa lang ang hinihingi namin sa bawat Pilipino, unstoppable support at cooperation para sa pagbabagong paparating na para sa kinabukasan natin. Paparating na ang pagbabago. Ang susunod na istasyon ay pag-unlad.
The National Housing Authority on Monday provided financial aid worth 5 million pesos for the victims of Typhoon Rosita in Mountain Province. NHA General Manager Marcelino Escalada Jr. said they will continue to supply disaster-stricken areas of the housing aid needed to recover from the damages brought about by the calamity. Escalada said the victims may use this amount for their roofing, lumber, and other matters needed to repair or refurbish their homes. The grant was received by Mountain Province Governor Bonifacio Lacuasan Jr. Natonin Town received 3 million pesos while the municipality of Paracelis received 2 million. Meanwhile, the governor was also pleased with the 20 million peso budget approval for indigenous people's housing in 2 barangays of the Otucan community. This as PCOO Assistant Secretary Marie Rafael pushed for more financial support to indigenous peoples. In our foreign news, the government of Indonesia plans to help in the rebuilding of a grand mosque in Marawi City, which was destroyed by the siege in 2017. President Joko Widodo has agreed to help with the reconstruction of the grand mosque to show Indonesia's role as an ASEAN neighbor. Indonesia Vice President Yusuf Kala said conflicts occurred in a number of Islamic countries due to the unjust treatment of certain society groups, which has been settled in the case of the Philippines. He said the Indonesian government's plan to reconstruct the Grand Mosque in the Philippines reflects its eagerness to help solve religious conflicts in ASEAN member states. In sports, Thailand athletes romped away with 16 gold medals to emerge overall champion of the 14th Southeast Asian Youth Athletics Championships held at the city of Ilagan Sports Complex in Isabela. The Thai athletes also garnered 8 silvers and 4 bronzes. Team manager Lafasa Tawan Charoen said it is practice and dedication that helped them in the championships. She commended the hospitality that Ilagan showed throughout the tournament from March 1 to 3. Meanwhile, host Philippines finished 5th with only 3 golds, 7 silvers, and 9 bronzes behind Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Vietnam placed 2nd, followed by Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Timor-Leste, and Brunei without any medal. More members of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front are transitioning to live away from conflict. Go Negosyo led the distribution of livelihood training and aid to help them start anew. Sweet Lukman from the PNA has the story.
In a bid to develop the trade in the towns of Munay, Lanao del Norte, Go Negosyo with the local government and in collaboration with the British Embassy Manila is now focusing on agribusiness development for formerly affiliated members of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front or MILF. The Go Negosyo Kapatid for Agri Model Farm launching aims to provide technical assistance to farmers and farm inputs as well. 50 MILF combatants from Camp Bilal and 150 from Munay Town. It aims to focus on the livelihood of MILF members and campaigns for the Arm to Farm, Bullets to Seeds. According to Mayor Kasan Makiling, LGU Munay will provide 3 hectares of land to make model farms for those who are aiming to raise their livelihood who were government's opponent for some time.
Sa response na maraming tao ngayon, no, we are ready to accept sa mga ibibigay sa amin, lalo-lalo na yung model farming dito sa bayan ng Munay. At kami po ay nagpapasalamat sa Go Negosyo sa pagbigay po sa amin ng isang pinakamagandang kabuhayan dito sa bayan ng Munay. Kasi alam mo, dito sa Munay ay isang agricultural area na underdeveloped pa. No? Pero sa ngayon, with a new technology to be introduced dito sa Munay, lalo nitong Go Negosyo, siguro aangat ang kabuhayan dito sa mga farmers natin.
Mayor Makiling is also pleased with the peace and order of his jurisdiction, especially today in the recent approval of the Bangsamoro Organic Law. According to Go Negosyo Bangsamoro Region Programs Head Jingay Hontiveros Malvar, such recipients of technical assistance in farming are no longer a government opponent, but now with the government moving towards development. Munay Town consists of 26 barangays with a population of around 28,000. For PNA Newsroom, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. President Rodrigo Duterte has vetoed measure prohibiting corporal punishment to discipline children. While critics say corporal punishment perpetrates abuse, the president highlighted how it can turn children to law-abiding citizens. What do Filipinos think of the move not to pass a so-called anti-palo bill? We'll find out what people have to say in today's Boses ng Masa.
Pwede din pong paluin kung mali. Pero kung hindi naman po ganun kasama yung inano ng bata, pwede po pagsabihan na lawag ng paluin.
Ang masasabi ko lang dyan, kailangan ng mga bata ang disiplina. Pero hindi naman bugbog, palo talaga. Talagang palo lang sa pigi, sa bad ng bata. Kasi nasa Bible naman yan. Kailangan makakaramdaman ng pagdidisiplina ang mga bata.
Okay naman magdisiplina pero wag lang sobra. Ang salita, pwede mong i-disiplina. Huwag lang mamalo kasi masakit yun eh. Yun lang sa akin. Ang salita lang ng maayos na para inintindi mo sa bata. Kasi ang bata, iba yung utak kaysa matanda.
Papayag din. Depende kasi yan kung sa disiplina ng magulang. Halimbawa, kailangan mo paluin mo lang. Hindi naman yung palo talagang bugbog. Parang lang, kahit kamay lang. Okay naman din yun sa akin.
Para sa akin po hindi kasi kailangan po natin paminsan-minsan paluin ang bata para magkaroon sila ng takot at may kasama namang disiplina yung paminsan-minsan na pamamalo.
Sa akin, kailangan kausapin lang yung bata. Kasi pag kinausap po ang bata ng malumanay, i-explain kung na didisiplina na rin yun. Kasi pagkapalo, nasasaktan ng bata. Yung matatanda ng mga araw, yun yung disiplina na ginagawa sa mga bata, di ba? Although maganda naman, kaya lang sa ngayon kasi parang hindi ako pabor talaga nasasaktan ng mga bata.
Pwede naman po yun. Huwag lang yung bugbog naman na nasa lugar po yung pagpalo. Yung sa puwit lang, sa binte, kaya hindi yung saan-saan, yung iba sa likod
Let's take another look at today's top stories.
The government reaches its inflation target as the inflation rate slows down to 3.8%. Government lawyers urge the Court of Appeals to junk the motion against the telco player selection process. Persons with disabilities or PWDs will soon receive medical insurance from PhilHealth. And victims of Typhoon Rosita in Mountain Province receive aid from the National Housing Authority.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.